Rewatching Star Trek Voyager today, this season 1 joke takes on a whole new meaning. Revisiting Star Trek Voyager in 2025 is a very different experience than when it first premiered in 1995. What was once a controversial and bold addition to the Star Trek franchise now stands as a cult favorite, revered for its ambitious storytelling and layered characters. Yet, amid the technobabble, Borg encounters, and Delta Quadrant drama, there's a Season 1 joke that, on first airing, passed by with little more than a chuckle. Today, that joke lands with a whole new resonance, especially for longtime fans and those rewatching with hindsight. It's a single line in the episode The Cloud, spoken with perfect comedic timing by jean-luc. There's coffee in that nebula. On the surface, it's a simple, quirky quip. But nearly 30 years later, this line encapsulates so much more than caffeine desperation. It has become symbolic of Voyager's ethos, Captain Janeway's leadership, and even the changing perception of women in command. Rewatching the series today, this small Season 1 joke has transformed into a mission statement and a meme that defined a legacy. The original joke, coffee as comic relief. In The Cloud, Voyager is still very early in its Delta Quadrant journey. The ship is low on energy resources, and the crew is still adjusting to their new roles, responsibilities, and intermingling with the Maquis. They encounter what appears to be a nebula that may contain useful energy, prompting Janeway's now famous exclamation when reviewing the scans, "There's coffee in that nebula." It's meant as a light-hearted moment. Janeway is portrayed as a commanding figure, but this line gives her a moment of personal indulgence, revealing her fondness, perhaps obsession with coffee. It plays for a laugh, and it gets one, especially with jean-luc reacting with bemused horror at how humans will risk life and limb for a caffeine fix. At the time, many viewers just saw this as a cute character detail, nothing more than a line tossed in to make Janeway more relatable and human. But in 2025, with decades of Star Trek discourse behind us and greater appreciation for Janeway's groundbreaking role, this joke reads very differently. In retrospect, there's coffee in that nebula as a mission statement. Rewatching Voyager today, especially in a binge-worthy streaming environment where Season 1 flows directly into the more serious arcs of later seasons, the coffee line begins to feel like more than a throwaway joke. It's the first articulation of something fans have now come to associate deeply with Captain Janeway's leadership, determination, resourcefulness, and a refusal to accept defeat, all wrapped in her iconic coffee obsession. When Janeway says, "There's coffee in that nebula," she's not just joking about a beverage. She's declaring that even in the vast unknown of the Delta Quadrant, she will find what she needs. She will provide for her crew. She will face uncertainty with optimism, and yes, a caffeine-fueled smile. In a broader sense, that line has become symbolic of Voyager's entire journey. The show took place farther from Federation space than any Star Trek series before it. There were no starbases, no regular reinforcements, no easy narrative resets. It was about survival and forging ahead. The joke, in hindsight, becomes a banner of Voyager's larger theme, that hope, even in small comforts, can power people through impossible odds. Janeway's coffee obsession, a feminist reading. Viewed through a modern lens, Janeway's coffee joke also carries a subtle feminist message. In 1995, having a woman in command of a Star Trek series for the first time was groundbreaking. Kate Mulgrew's Janeway was under immense scrutiny, both from in-universe characters and from fans and critics outside the show. Every facet of her personality was dissected. Coffee, then, became more than a running gag. It was a symbol of normalcy, humanity, and autonomy. In a world where female characters in power were often reduced to cold, emotionless caricatures, Janeway was allowed to want something as ordinary and unprofessional as coffee. And that was radical. She could be brilliant, decisive, and tactically savvy and still crave her morning cup. The joke was a rare early glimpse into a commanding officer who wasn't afraid to show her quirks. Today, that feels revolutionary. It anticipated a shift in television where female leaders could be fully fleshed-out human beings with real wants, vices, and moments of vulnerability. Janeway paved that path and did it with a coffee mug in hand. From punchline to pop culture phenomenon, "There's coffee in that nebula" didn't die as a forgotten quip. Over the years, it's become one of Voyager's most quoted and merchandised lines. It adorns mugs, t-shirts, posters, memes, and Tumblr blogs. It's been referenced in Star Trek Prodigy, where Janeway returns in holographic form and mentions coffee multiple times, sometimes as a joke, sometimes as a nostalgic nod. In many ways, this line has become Voyager's equivalent to Spock's "Live long and prosper" or Picard's "Make it so." It's not just a character detail. It's an encapsulation of everything Voyager stands for: resourcefulness, determination, and a sense of humor in the face of adversity. What makes it so compelling now is that it continues to resonate. In a post-COVID world with ongoing global instability, climate crisis, and social upheaval, many viewers relate more than ever to the idea of finding joy and energy in small comforts. Janeway's coffee quest isn't just relatable, it's therapeutic. In rewatching Voyager, audiences are reminded that even in the chaos of space, self-care and small rituals matter. The line's impact on Janeway's legacy. It's impossible to separate this line from Janeway's legacy. When Voyager premiered, some critics questioned whether Mulgrew could carry the mantle of Star Trek captaincy. But over time, Janeway has become a fan favorite, and moments like "There's coffee in that nebula" are part of why. She wasn't just a rule-bound officer. She was a leader who felt, a scientist who smiled, a Starfleet captain who cared deeply about her crew, even when she had to make the hardest calls. That joke is emblematic of her leadership style: resilient but human, serious but never joyless. Janeway was not a carbon copy of Kirk or Picard. She blazed her own path, and part of that path involved acknowledging the daily, human parts of leadership that mattered, like keeping morale up or finding a moment of calm in a nebula shaped like a coffee bean. In retrospect, her coffee moment isn't a throwaway, it's a declaration: we're going to make it. And we'll make it with style, smarts, and a steaming mug in hand. The coffee nebula as a metaphor for the Delta Quadrant. On another level, the joke works as a metaphor for Voyager's entire situation. That nebula, like the Delta Quadrant, is mysterious, potentially hostile, and filled with untapped resources. When Janeway says, "There's coffee in that nebula," she's not just referring to energy. She's asserting that value, comfort, civilization, culture can be found even in the unknown. That's the broader mission of Voyager. The ship is 70 years from home, traveling through uncharted space. Each week, they confront alien races, strange phenomena, and ethical dilemmas. The show isn't just about surviving, it's about preserving who they are while surviving. The coffee isn't just about fuel. It's about humanity. Janeway finds strength in routine, even as everything around her changes. That kind of quiet, symbolic resolve is what carried the crew home and what keeps the show resonating today. The joke in modern fandom culture. Rewatching Voyager today means engaging with a modern fandom that has reclaimed Janeway's coffee quote as a badge of honor. Memes circulate of Janeway gripping her mug during a red alert. Etsy is full of coffee-themed Janeway tributes. Even Starbucks drink orders have been named after her. It's no longer a joke, it's a vibe. A symbol of confidence, competence, and